Hi everybody. I know I'm a little bit early today. Let's see, what's our time? A couple minutes early today. But I thought I would check in and say good morning and welcome and just kind of see how people are doing. It's been a weird week, couple of weeks to say the least. So yeah, I wanted to give you guys a chance to share any thoughts that you might have, or let me know what your goals are. If you are self-isolating or at home, do you have a big project that you're going to do in the coming week? I have a literal closet under the stairs. Those of you who have read the Harry Potter books, yeah, I have a literal closet under my stairs, and it's full of so much stuff. It's one of those scary places that if you open the door, you can only open the door part way, and then you have to throw something in it and then close the door real quickly before it all tumbles out. So one of my goals is to pull everything out of my closet under the stairs and get rid of a bunch of stuff. And I'm probably going to find some treasures in there, probably treasures that are awesome for making art, and then clean it out, organize, and put it all back. And the other thing that I want to learn to do is play my ukulele. Right now I just know one chord, and it's been a couple of years since I've gotten it, so long overdue for sitting down with that instrument and getting a little bit better with it. So I would love to know what your goals are, if you have any. Maybe it's reading a great book or learning how to cook something fabulous. My son and his girlfriend have been watching a lot of baking shows, and I'm really going to get them to make a tart before our time together is over with, because dang, all that food on the TV set looks really great. So yeah, let me know what your goals are. Maybe journal about your goals. Make a page that, where you write down whatever that big goal is that you want to accomplish, and hold yourself accountable. Make an accountability page in your book. So I have notes down here on the floor. Today I am filming in my studio. You might notice a little bit of a location change. Trying out some different technology. I am filming from an iPad, which I hope is an adequate stream and doesn't give us a jumpy, spotty sort of feed. And the iPad is also going to allow me for better filming of the demo later on in the lesson. So I'm hoping that that's an improvement. I know the light in here is a little less than perfect, but that's something we can work on going forward. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, I am just checking my time here. Going to give a couple more people a chance to join. I'm a working artist, and I have been painting as my career for about 20 years now. I have a studio at home. This is my magic space, and I work from here. I also teach and mentor and do demonstrations and presentations and things about my work and about being a working artist. But this is my office. This is my job. So I'm excited to be able to bring the lessons in here for the time being, and hopefully we'll be able to work stuff out. But I've never really filmed content in my studio before, because it's designed for working at the easel and not really set up as a studio as a TV studio space or a film studio space. So anyway, today's lesson is going to be about the things that delight us, and one of the things that delights me is pushing paint around. So it would be wrong of me to present a lesson on delight and not share my perspective, and that being paint. The process I'm going to share with you is something that you can use to create backgrounds for your pages. So you can use it on a number of different pages in your book. And a background would be essentially like that first layer. Remember we talked yesterday about layers. That background, it would be the first layer. And I find it's really soothing sometimes to sit with my journal and just do page after page after page of backgrounds. It can be really soothing and pressure-free. You just kind of sit there and you put the paint down and you let it dry and you move on, and it's a very pleasant process or pleasant way to spend a little bit of time. So I'm going to share some techniques today with you on how to do that. So I'm going to give you a bit of a demo, and I'm going to talk about my materials that I use and show you how I'm applying this particular background process to pages in my journal. But keep in mind that you can take these processes and turn them into your own thing. You may see the way I'm doing or using the paint and think, oh wow, I could do this with it. Totally do that. You have permission to run with all the information that I'm giving you and twist it and turn it into a process that is totally yours, because that's what this journal practice is. It's about taking what you know and using it in ways that delight you. So run with it. Let's see, just a little bit of housekeeping. I want to let everybody know or remind everybody that I have a website page, or have a page on my website that's dedicated to this project, and it's going to include, or it does include, all the links currently to every session that's been published, and that's my lessons as well as artists. So if you go to my website, KimberlySantini.com, there's going to be a page right in the navigation menu on the top that says Journal Through It. Click on that, and that's going to take you to a one-stop shop. It's going to include info about the project. It's going to include an expected schedule. I mean, remember, keep in mind, this is all sort of fluid, and Ardith and I are trying to cover 7 days a week between the two of us. So some weeks there may be a little bit of juggling happening between lessons, but we try to maintain our schedule or our calendar there, and it will have links to every single one of the sessions. So if you're just joining us and you think you've maybe missed a couple of things, or you want to go back and rewatch previous video, there's that location for you, so you can go back and see exactly what you're looking for and jump to that instead of having to wade through a long Facebook feed or even question whether or not you missed anything. Because yesterday, after I finished my live session, I continued working in the Rabbit book, and I posted a bonus video of that. So, you know, that bonus video wasn't part of the live feed, but I consider it part of this content. So there is a link to that bonus video on my website, on that page. There's also a link to the music video, the Italian balcony singing music video that I used as inspiration for my line work. So all that content's going to be there for you. Just want to make sure you know about that. And if you want to sign up for my newsletter and get continued updates about the project as it's evolving, there's information on my website to do that as well. The Contact Me page will take you right to the newsletter sign up, and we'll get you, it's an automated process that'll get you added in, and you can be in the loop. So I just wanted to share that because I've been getting a lot of questions on Facebook and messages and whatnot, and I want to make sure I'm really clear on how everybody can access the information. So I mentioned earlier that today we're going to work on background layers, or backgrounds, and backgrounds are the first layer in any journal process. So what we're going to do is learn a process today that we can apply to multiple pages in our book in a variety of ways, but it's basically a way of approaching a book that could be full of white pages. And some people may find that those white pages, that clean white sheet, can be intimidating. So we're going to jump in and we're going to start putting some marks on those pages so that the book is less intimidating. It becomes less precious, and then that makes it easier for us to take risks and make marks in it ourselves. So making backgrounds can be so relaxing, like I said. And what I want to show you is a way to make pages today with spaces that are designed for lists or for content in some sort. And this is, I want to make sure you can see that. This is a page from one of my journals, and it is essentially the pink and red area is acrylic paint. This is a piece of decorative tape, and I'll show you how to make that. We have some stickers on here, and then this edge right here is just gel pen. And then the text on the page is also a gel pen. It's called a souffle pen, and it is a white opaque gel pen, so it shows up really well on bright colors or on dark colors. So it's a pretty simple process. You're going to need a few basic materials that you should have at home. You're going to need some masking tape. I have just some regular painter's tape, and then I also happen to have this masking tape. Look at how skinny this is. I think this is called pinstriping tape. I think I got it at an auto supply store, although I could be wrong. But it's super skinny. I love this tape for marking off fine little details, but you don't have to have it. You can take a piece of this and scissors and cut it down and get some really interesting shapes as well. So masking tape is something you're going to need. If you have some acrylic craft paints, I have a couple of tubes here. These happen to be golden fluid acrylics. It does not matter what kind or brand of paints you use. You just want them to be acrylic water-based paints. And you want two colors that are similar. For instance, the pink page that I just showed you, I did with these two colors. So you want two colors that are similar because that's going to give you an interesting blending effect. And then you are also going to need some pens. I am using this, I guess it's a Jelly Roll pen. I don't know if you can read that. This is just a white pen, white gel pen. You can use any sort of opaque pen. You want it to go over paint, so it needs to be opaque. It can't be transparent. A Sharpie will work, as well as any paint pens. Now keep in mind that when you choose your background color and your paint pen, the pen you're going to write with, you want them to be different values. You want them to be different values because you want your lettering to show up over top. Do you see how, let me see if I can angle this. Do you see how my lettering is white on a dark ground? So if you're putting down a light ground, like if you were painting this yellow or a really bright pink, you would want a dark pen to write on that so that it shows up, because a white isn't going to show up so great on yellow or orange or a really light green. So just keep that in mind when you choose your pen and your paint colors. And then the optional things you're going to need are washi tape, stickers, and a gel pen if you have it to match your paint colors. So you ready to go? I am going to reposition my camera at this point. So bear with me here. I'm filming this all by myself. Let me move my cell phone. Let me reposition my camera. And double check and make sure you can see things. I don't want the iPad to fall over. How's that look? Let me turn this around so it's not upside down. Okay, so this is the sample page that I showed you, and again, as a sort of breakdown, this darker ground area is acrylic paint. This is a strip of decorative paint, washi tape, decorative tape. This edge was done with a gel pen, and these are stickers. and then this is what I actually did my writing with. So let's get started here with a fresh book page. I am working in a composition notebook, one of those, I guess I painted both covers, but one of those black pebbled sort of notebooks. It's just plain notebook paper here, nothing fancy. So I'm going to start out with a piece of masking tape, and I'm going to run it from the outer edge of my page. I'm tearing the pieces of tape approximately as large as my page. I'm just eyeballing. I'm not doing any precise measuring because that's how I fly. I know some people need to measure and be very precise, and I respect that. So if you had this regular masking tape and you wanted to change its width from the standard 1 inch, you could cut it into strips, or you could tear it into strips and then cut it into whatever width you'd like with a pair of scissors. I find that that process is best if you have a second set of hands so that the tape doesn't curl back on itself. But it certainly is something you can do. You can stick it onto like the edge of a chair and hold it with tension with one hand and cut through, but you do need some way to secure it if you're going to cut it. So I've created my perimeter or my mask, and now I'm going to break this down into smaller sections with the skinnier tape. Now, when in the pink page that I showed you, I had created an X to do some diagonal lists. I really like that look. I'm gonna do it this time. Not quite a clean diagonal. But just something for a little bit of visual interest. If you recall that, I like that double line effect. Wherever the tape goes down, that's where the paint isn't going to hit the page. It isn't going to have the opportunity to adhere to the page because the paint is going to act as a mask. Now you could also choose to cut other shapes out of your tape if you wanted to use circles or little torn bits or whatever. I mean, get creative in how you mask your page off. You don't have to follow this exact example. You could make columns, you could do rows, you could turn this into like a comic book cell page or comic book storyboard if you wanted to. So be creative. Turn your masking project into something that delights you, that matches the things that you are interested in. So once you get your tape down and in place, you wanna make sure that the edges where the paint is going to go, and the paint's going to go right here, you want to make sure that those edges are clean, have a clean connection with the page. And so I just run my finger over them and make sure that everything is stuck down pretty good. Pretty good or pretty well? It would be pretty well, wouldn't it? So these are the two colors that I'm going to use today. It's a phthalo blue and then a little bit of a gold. And these paints are super runny. They're fluid acrylics, and they're pretty runny. You're going to see when I put them on my page. that they're sort of like melted butter. If you have paints that are a little bit thicker than this, than melted butter, what you're going to want to do is put them on a paper plate ahead of time and just add a little bit of water to them and get them looser. Because one of the big successes of this particular project is knowing or having that paint move about pretty easily. You don't want to be pushing it and having it be like pudding or a little bit thicker than that. And then I'm using this brush, and I'm going to set it down on the page so you can see how big it is. You want to use a big brush because you don't want to be making all these sorts of little tiny brush marks to fill the page. A big brush means I'm going to be able to go like this, and I'm going to get my page covered pretty quickly. So you're going to want a big brush. And it doesn't take a whole lot of paint. A little bit of this particular paint goes a long way. I'm going to put 2 drops down. If I need to add some more, I will. When you add your paint, you want to make sure that you put it in different locations. Because what we're going to do is blend the paint on the page. And if we keep it separate from each other or further apart from each other, this area will be more blue and this area will be more gold, and then where they meet in between it'll be sort of greenish. I am going to start by painting the gold side of the page, only because I know that this blue doesn't play very well with others. It's really bossy, and if I get it on my brush right away, it's gonna overwhelm this gold. So I'm going to start to move this gold around, and I can feel that it's a little thick. So I'm going to reach over here and dip my brush in some water. There we go. Do you see the difference that made? And how the paint moved? I guess I'm at the bottom of that jar of gold paint, and so it must be thickening up a little bit. Now watch what happens when I pick this blue up. Look at that. I'm not painting really neatly. I don't have to. You don't want to scrub too hard around your tape, particularly if it's really skinny, because you may force the paint underneath it. Now I can tell I don't have enough paint to cover this whole page, so you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add. This is the fluorescent pink from, oh, whoops, that was kind of a lot. This is the pink that I used on the other page. But let's see what happens. Because it's only a background, it doesn't matter if it doesn't turn out the way I expect it to. There's going to be all sorts of layers going over top of it. Ooh, I love that little sliver of pink right there. So look at that. I've covered my whole page with paint. I know that because I can see little bits of paint on my tape perimeter here. I'm just going to leave this as it is right now. And if I were not doing this video, I would let it dry. Acrylic paint dries fairly quickly. It should be dry in 5 to 10 minutes. But because we are doing a video and I'm not going to sing and dance for you for the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to bring my blow dryer in and blow dry this. So excuse the noise for just a minute as we get this to dry.